Behind the Counter is brought to you by Audible.com, the internet's leading provider of audiobooks with more than 100,000 downloadable titles across all types of literature. For a free audiobook of your choosing, go to audiblepodcast.com/Andrew. And by Stitcher Radio. Listen on the go via the Stitcher mobile app. For more information, go to stitcher.com/GFQ. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Behind the Counter. I'm your host with not so much of the most, Rich Stambolian, and with me as always is the fallen angel, Jonathan Hadley. Sorry for the snafu, a little bit of a do-over at the beginning.
Mulligan, as they call in the industry.
I'm forgetting. I'm forgetting my my words. My words, bro.
Welcome to Comic Book Hour. What is happening?
Can we do an episode all immigranty?
Yes. Do it every week.
I'll be very excited for that.
Welcome to this.
Welcome to Potato Hour. Free potato and shekels for everyone.
It's great. So what's going on, sir?
Trying to kill this dog in the course of the next 45 minutes.
The chat room is going bananas because they love the dog so much.
Oh, really?
One guy in the chat room. One guy.
The other guy playing more coming. The dog won't settle down.
You should put little costumes on the dog every week.
Or bow tie?
Where you can interview the dog. You can do a character where you have like black, like nerd chic glasses, but they're on upside down, and you interview the dog.
I will do this.
In a strange voice.
I will do this every week.
Every week. Lot of comic book news this week, maybe?
Yeah.
No, not really.
No, I mean, you posted a bunch of stuff on Facebook this week.
I did.
I should have went back in and took a look at it.
Hey, well, guess what, buddy? Because I forgot it, too. Yeah.
I guess the most important news is the casting rumors, right?
The casting rumors. Well, Andrew, you got the images, I think.
Yeah,
right? Okay.
I do.
I want somebody to Photoshop a blue Michael Brooks.
Somebody did.
They did?
Somebody did. I didn't get it. It wasn't that good. I was actually gonna do it today, but it wasn't that good. I saw it online. So I guess the big news this week, there's a lot of comic book movies in the works. We're getting Iron Man 3 this year, which looks awesome. We're getting Superman, which we're going to talk about the trailer a little later. In case you don't know out there watching, this is your only go-to show for comic books and pop culture and nerd culture.
No options.
Still got to come up with a cool word to describe what we do.
Schmageggies.
It's John and I every week. You can find us on GFQ, Facebook.com/Behind the Counter GFQ, and at BTC Rich and BTC Jadler on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, look us up. If you have any questions about comics, look it up. I do get every so often. I'll get like a direct message of like, what was that issue that this happened? And I'd be like, use Google, bro. I would try to feel it as best as I can.
I would use my my Twitter more often if I actually got some interactions going.
Yeah, you did. I mean, like you have to kind of find them,
seek them out.
But
I'm not a seeker.
Through the wrestling show and this show, I get a lot of questions thrown at me. Which is cool. Yeah. I also get sometimes I get weird like guys that I have to cut direct messages from people who I talk, I'll just talk to them and then have to cut off a conversation, which is kind of, weird, but all right. What about this guy? It's basically, I feel like it's Andrew asking me wrestling what ifs every week.
That's exactly what it
is.
What if everyone died?
What if everyone died and we have to create new dudes to fight in rings?
Best wrestler as an X-Men. Who would it be? Triple H.
The Beast.
Yeah. Like Batista?
No. Oh, I'm doing the reverse. I'm actually.
Yeah, no. I'm saying a professional wrestler in the X-Men.
If you had to put one guy on the X-Men who was a pro wrestler,
Vader,
Macho Man.
Yeah, I'd put Macho Man. I think he'd be a great X-Men.
Vader's Juggernaut.
Yeah, I would say Brock Lesnar is a little bit more. Juggy.
My Macho Man as on the X-Men, he wouldn't be on the team. He wouldn't be in the mansion.
He'd be like the Sergeant Slaughter of the X-Men.
He kind of
drive around his own little car.
He would live in an asteroid M, like an abandoned asteroid M.
Over you all.
And he would fly like this. And whenever he flew, rainbow
stars
would come out of his fingertips.
I would love to see that. Happened in my X-Men comic.
But we're getting off topic here. Michael Rooker was announced to play Yondu from the Guardians of the Galaxy this week.
Can we have a picture of this at all?
Yeah, we have a Michael Rooker who
shoot that dog.
Who was known, he's known for a lot of things, but he's also known for playing a guy with one really crappy looking fake hand, fake no hand on, and he's telling you right there. He's like, "Shh, I know this is the worst looking hand. This is the worst looking.
I know this show is really disappointing you.
Hey man, this is the worst looking prosthetic stump ever on television."
Right? Did they ever explain how he survived with a cut hand?
Yeah. He's Michael Rooker.
He cut his own hand off.
I know, but that's
pretty bad.
Like, he would have gotten some sort of weird infection.
No, he's very clean.
You only bleed to death if you don't cover it. So I'm assuming he did it and then went like this real fast.
No, he cauterized it. They showed that he actually.
Oh yeah, he did.
He had like a grill. He had like a grill like downstairs, but he also had a bunch of baby wipes on him also. So that takes the problem.
Yeah,
right out the window.
And Purells.
Yeah.
You know, if only if those zombies had Purell,
they'd be so much better off.
Yeah.
Do we have a picture of Yondu?
We have a picture of Yondu. Last week on the show, last time we had the show, we were talking about how it would be nice to see, it would be nice to see, like the original Guardians of the Galaxy, like in the movie, and we were like, it's never gonna happen. We were really like, did you just karate chop your dog?
Yeah, I tried to.
We were talking about how it's probably never gonna happen because nobody knows those characters. This is a very up to date version of Guardians.
Yeah.
That we're gonna get, and all of a sudden, like Michael Rooker cast as Yondu,
the last guy. I mean, he's a great. Number one, he's a great character. I love Yondu. This is a blue, beautiful man with a red fin that Michael Rooker will be playing.
Who's an Alpha Centauri that worships Thanos? I think that's why they threw him in the movie.
The coolest thing about Yondu, aside from he has the same personality as like Silver Surfer. He's very benevolent. He hates He hates fighting, but he's an awesome warrior. He's like a Robin Hood type where he's got the bow and arrow, and everyone loves bow and arrows in movies now for whatever reason.
True.
But what's cool is that he worshipped a god called Anthos. And here's the cool backstory about that is someone wrote into Jim Valentino, who was doing the comic at the time, saying like, "Oh, it's cool. Like Anthos is actually an anagram for Thanos. So you're gonna reveal that's gonna be Thanos." And he took that idea and used it. And so he basically, his whole religion is based on worshiping Thanos, which is totally the reason why they stick him in here.
Yeah.
Also, at some point, Yondu also gets his hand chopped off and gets a weird cybernetic stump that has a blade coming out of it. So this is the weirdest bit of typecasting you can do. Like, that man's adept at using a stump. We need to put him in all the movies where a stump is required.
I think that was probably it. Where like some casting director went home and they were like, Yondu, and they looked at a picture, and then Walking Dead was on, and he was like,
"Whoa, that guy knows what he's doing."
You know what? Let's paint him blue. Let's get him on the phone. Get Spielberg on the phone right now.
It's a total shame because Rooker was complaining about he's actually happy that he's never gonna have to wear a stupid stump again.
Mm-hmm. Lo and behold. I feel like they'll probably for the Avengers movie, for the Guardians movie, they'll probably give him like a really cool stump.
Well, I don't know if
a better looking one.
Yeah, I mean, I would be disappointed if they just he's a stump dude from day one. Like, I want to see this guy as shooting his arrows and whistling and making them controlled.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Such a weird casting bit, and so far, the Guardians of the Galaxy has a really unusual cast.
Yeah,
you've got Chris Pratt from Parks and Rec. You got Batista.
It's weird that Batista's the Drax. It's perfect, but I thought the weird casting would have stopped there.
No, Michael Rooker. Who's playing Gamera?
I forgot.
Zoe Saldana.
Wasn't Sandler attached to be Rocket Raccoon?
Sandler might be Rocket Raccoon. Jim Carrey maybe Rocket Raccoon. Like any guy with a funny voice. I want Gilbert Godfrey to be Rocket Raccoon.
Way.
You've got whoever's gonna play Groot. You still got who else? Who else is on the team at this point?
I think that's it. I think this is the 5-person team.
Unless they start adding in a Van Sass show. And my Charlie Church 27 being played by Martin Lawrence is pretty cool.
Believe that. That'd be awesome.
Edward James Olmos says Van Sass show.
Who was your Donald Sutherland as
Donald Sutherland as what's his name? Who was it? Who did I have?
I forgot. The crystal looking dude.
Oh, Martin X? No, Fire Lord. I stirred the fire.
Who would be your Martin X?
Martin X, Dan Leary.
I'd watch the crap out of that movie.
Dan Leary as a crystalline scientist that can shoot fire and ice out of his hands.
I'd love to watch that. Guardians. I want to see your version of Guardians. I want to fly into your brain and see that version of Guardians.
Yeah, once you open the door with Batista and Michael Rooker,
sky's the limit.
Go crazy. Star-Lord, Chris Pratt, total.
You think you're gonna
Make it
get
happen.
when you think about it, Cosmic Marvel lends itself amazingly well to toys.
Hell yeah.
And if you threw
Big
like,
monsters, spaceships, dudes with ray guns.
crazy looking dudes who look like they, like they're burning alive, like Fire Lord.
Yeah.
You could like Terrax.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
all those dudes look
Silver
incredible.
Surfer.
Yeah. But you're not
You
going
can't
to
do
get that crossover. So we may see like some other cool stuff. Like we're probably going to see like a little bit of the Badoon, maybe the
You
Brood.
can't have the Badoon not be in a Guardians movie.
Maybe the Brood. I would love, which they're probably not going to do. I would love to see some Shi'ar stuff or like a Nihilus, maybe.
I like to see a Nihilus. I always want to see a Nihilus.
And I want to see a Nova. I want to see a good Nova. I feel like Nova would translate very well to.
I think
to
they're
the
gonna
big
stick him
screen.
into this. I think that's the reason why we have a Nova book out right now. It's just a matter of time.
Who would you pick as Nova?
Any young guy, I get that.
Richard Rider Nova, not
Yeah, not this young kid. Richard Rider. I would say he's still gotta be young. You're not doing like aged, war torn commander of the Nova Corps. You're doing like, beginning of his career, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Oh, who's a good young kid now? Who's a good, beautiful boy that can shine inside of a golden helmet?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Boom.
He'd be a good Nova. I think.
He would be. I think he'd be good. Pretty much any like character actor piece.
My pick for Star-Lord, who I pick for pretty much every role. What's his name from Lost?
Oh, you love it. You catch this guy in every movie.
Yeah, it's true.
He would be you would be like Sam Raimi, and he would be like your what's his name?
Hey man, I want to put you in this movie. All right.
Like I want you to open an elevator. What's the guy's name? Ash.
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah, you'd have like him like opening
Josh
elevators.
Josh Holloway, Star-Lord.
Yeah,
I'd watch it.
it's awful.
No.
He's not great. He's not that great.
All right.
He was just really good and Lost.
Yeah.
Most of the seasons. Speaking of hands, Game of Thrones, man.
Oh man, what a crazy ending! Didn't see it coming. Didn't read the book, so I didn't see it coming. I'm assuming that happened in the book.
Yeah.
Would you have lost your mind if that didn't happen in the book?
Yeah.
And then like, what are they doing?
Dude, in the book, it's like it comes just as like out of nowhere.
Mm.
I think a little bit more so because they didn't even have the whole like setup of like almost like carving his eye out and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It just happens, and then you don't see him for like 10 chapters.
Wow,
So it's such a great defining moment, and it was just I loved it. I just loved.
it's pretty brutal, man.
Yeah.
It's also pretty interesting that they went right into that whole steady song.
I loved it. I was talking about that with Bobby today,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, I hated like how they just gotta go into that song
Why?
because he's just like he'd rather not hear like a modern song.
That's the first time they did that, right?
Well, the national version of The Reigns of Castamere they did last season,
Right, yeah.
But that sounds like a regular song, like
Yeah.
and also it's also funny because the Bear Maiden Fair, which is a song they're covering, is a song about rape, about a bear raping a woman. So it's a weird choice, and it was so jarring that it really like lent itself well to like the impact. Like you want to feel like, oh my god, somber, like what's going on, and like bam, here's the Hold Steady.
It gets real. Those guys put on a good show. I've seen them a couple of times. They're also very weird dudes.
Yeah.
But it was a great episode.
Awesome.
I'm a little bit behind. I'm like 2 episodes behind on Vikings,
Awesome.
which I share.
Almost done too.
Which is funny because I was telling you how the fiance doesn't like watching it. She's just like, this stinks. And the funny thing is too, like her mom's the same way because my future father-in-law was like, watch Vikings. I was like, oh, it's awesome. And both of them are like, it's
I don't
stupid.
understand it. Like my mom loves Vikings.
It's such a good show.
Yeah, I think it's a completely enjoyable show. My favorite show right now though is a little show called Hannibal.
Yeah.
That show rocks.
Yeah.
It is so well done, well acted, beautiful look at. It looks like Richard Deakins from like the Kubrick movies and the Coen Brothers movies. Their cinematographer is working on this thing. It is so gorgeous, well acted, everything.
What channel is it on?
It's on NBC tonight, 10 o'clock.
Okay.
It is awesome and way violent for network television.
Really?
Yeah.
Again, I'm so behind on television, man.
Watch it just to save the show, just so it makes it through the season.
Yeah.
Just so it can get picked up by Netflix or something.
I think I'll do that. We're doing the pop culture segment here. Best thing I think that dropped this week, Superman trailer.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Like I watched it a couple of times. When I watch it, I was like, I wish we could show it, but
You really can't?
I was like, copyright stuff. I know this movie's gonna make me cry.
Yeah. Well, they did a good thing in this, in the trailer. They deliver it very, very well, where you basically have all the sentimental stuff that you saw in the last trailer, which is what I kind of want to get away from. Because I get it. Like, Superman can be a sensitive man. But, like, once a dude, like, does, like, the like the Super Science style like liftoff from like the Arctic, and then like you see him punching stuff and just being Superman. Looks so awesome, and dude, his suit looks amazing.
Yeah, I was actually talking to
super long cape,
mutual acquaintance of ours at their comic store.
I know him,
Mr. Davino.
Yeah.
And we were both like said pretty much the same sentiments. Like, oh, he's actually punching stuff in this movie.
Yeah.
Whereas as much as I love the Christopher Reeve movies, he fights Gene Hackman.
Yeah. He doesn't do anything.
And that's it. But this movie, you're seeing him like do Superman stuff. You know, like he's punching stuff. It looks like he's throwing stuff maybe at one point. He's probably gonna fight Zod.
He's totally fighting Zod. They show him like punching him at the very end of the trailer,
which looks incredible.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to go the route of the Phantom Zone villains or if it's going to be like an invasion style thing. But that one bit, which kind of like makes it look so cool with Russell Crowe as Jor-El, putting him into the thing, and then the trial for Zod.
Like he's going to be God.
You know, where he's like, I'm going to hunt your son down. And then he does, like he eventually does. I also like at first I didn't really like the casting of Kevin Costner as Pa Kent.
But he sold you on that one line?
In that one line in this, like, it told me because he had, like, those sad cowboy eyes.
Like, am I not your son? Of course you are.
No, you're not.
Son. It was really, like, it's just a nice delivery. Like, I really hope they can pull this off. I'm pretty sure they are doing the Phantom Zone stuff because they do have that one scene where they show Zod screaming at Jor-El saying, like, do you think this is going to stop me from going after your son?
Yeah.
Because what I read from Snyder is that he is making him from the get-go that they know that Clark is going to be something special. Kal-El being something very special.
Okay.
That's why he's sending him off. Like I think they're making him into like a more of a Jesus figure.
Okay.
Where he is going to be like the chosen one for this world.
Okay. That's very cool.
And Zod needs to either like, you know, make him his own. Like I want to make, because I think they're going with like, he's not so much going after him. He's trying to like make him part of like a Kryptonian army with him on his side. Yeah,
it seems like they're going more the secondary route of Zod from the newer Richard Donner stuff that he did with Jeff Johns, where it's more of, you know, like in Superman 2, he was a general, obviously, but like he was so foppish.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
But it was such a great. He was so close to being feminine, but it was such a great part. You know, I think in this you're getting like a military mastermind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
And I would love to see Non, and I would love to see Ursa.
Aren't they in
the movie too? I think they renamed Cat. Yeah.
They renamed the two characters.
But really cool stuff, man. Like I'm really looking forward to seeing
and
this
that's
movie.
Superman once again, keeping with the tradition, big old wanger.
Yeah.
He's back in heat.
So weird. That's so weird.
You gotta have a big juicy male member.
That was the thing about I remember when we were working at the store together and people were like, what's the deal with that package? And
well, he's got a huge wanger. Yeah. Like every picture of Superman was like huge wanger. That's why I got the job. Him, his penis, and a jacuzzi with Bryan Singer.
Powered by the Earth's yellow sun. That was the inspiration for the theme music also. That little noise
coming to full erection.
What's the if you can name any noise that your boner would make, what is it? Write it down. We have our movie, fellas. Let's do it.
I just want them to make sure that the ending of the movie does have a white gloved Alfred handing a silver invitation to JLA to an off-camera Batman.
I like how you're working that joke in every week. Kind of like the old school WCW diamond cutter. Like you never know where it's going to come from. What's the segue into the?
I want to have like an exclusive. Like I want you to do like storyboarding for this. And like have exclusive like we have the final scene here. Just the white gloves.
Just fake it. Fake it though. Like breaking news, and we'll fake the entire comic book world.
I have a pair of white gloves, and we can actually recreate it in front of a mantle.
Sure.
And have like a Bruce Wayne like sitting like in a bathrobe
with the cowl on.
He had bathrobe cowl.
Drinking coconut water.
Trying to get his hangover down.
I had like 3 of those today. I was just like, I love them.
They go right out your butt.
Do they?
For me, they go right.
They don't bother me. Coffee bothers me more than coconut water, as far as the butt goes.
As far as the butt goes,
it's always coffee for me. Like that first cup of coffee, like 20 minutes later, I'm like,
No, I'm regular. I wake up in the morning.
It turns my face into an old Korean man's. So we also get Iron Man 3 is coming out this year. Still not
Next
sold.
Month.
Still not sold on that armor, but
I think it's great.
But I love it at the same time. The trailer looks incredible.
Well,
man.
number one, you have like 18 armors in that movie.
Yeah.
You have the space armors going to debut. Debut. I'm from Texas. You also have really cool. The new trailer had a bunch of cool stuff. They showed like a bunch of extremist dudes.
Yeah.
I have no idea what they're doing in Mandarin.
Yeah, Ben Kingsley. It's like such an insane,
weirdest voice in the world.
He does a weird. I don't think they're gonna stick with that voice. I think they're gonna do something like they did with
Bane.
With Bane, where
I
like,
love
they
the
kind of
voice.
tone it down a little bit.
I want him to like turn it up. Weirder.
I sent Andrew like an awesome picture of the Japanese poster for Iron Man, which it's Pepper Potts and unmasked Tony. It looks incredible.
This might be his last movie too.
As Iron Man,
yeah,
or like ever.
I think he's doing Avengers 2, and that's it.
Oh, but who else could be Iron Man after him?
You.
Me? I can't.
Take facial hair.
I do have this Tony Stark thing going, yeah.
You barely leave your seat. It's perfect.
Yeah. I'm a raging alcoholic.
There you go.
We should start a petition to make Andrew Tony Stark.
It would work so well. I think Josh Holloway.
How good are you?
Josh Holloway with a mustache.
hey, Freckles. Andrew,
he was Iron Man at one point.
Are you good? No, he wasn't.
He was the Josh Holloway was what's his name? Salvador LaRocca's Iron Man for a long period of time.
That's true. Yeah.
Before they did the movie
I don't like
That's
iron,
true.
and I don't like men.
That's
so
not true.
I refuse to be
Either
Iron
one.
Man.
This man irons a lot, and he does love men.
I do love men. Yeah.
You like with those glasses on, you just look like a gay beat poet.
That's exactly. That's what I'm looking for, actually.
That's your take on Iron Man.
Yeah, Iron Man. Glasses. Never wears glasses his entire career.
Yeah, this is my entire thing.
A late 50s like East Village
Like
guy.
a beatnik. Yeah.
You're like Iron Dad.
That's the look I would go for.
Cool Iron Dad. You can stay out as late as you want. Just don't touch my armor.
This is the look I'm going to go for.
Have you guys read The New Yorker this week?
NPR is fantastic.
I can pee in my armor, you know. Yeah. No offense.
It's okay.
I really like the way it looks. Iron Man, can't wait.
I can't wait for Guy Pearce, my favorite actor, out today. Actually,
Is he?
Guy Pearce, he is the greatest spice. He's the adobo
Mm-hmm.
to every film. That dude,
Adobo is a pretty excellent spice.
It's a well-rounded spice.
Yeah.
I mean, that like you put some adobo in there, you're like, oh wow, what'd you put on this? It's like,
Commercials don't lie.
No, adobo's incredible. Especially cooking some for a very long period of time, it soaks very well.
Yes.
Guy Pearce is amazing. Everything I've seen him in, I've always liked him. Even the smallest role, but he's playing the extremist character. In this. Plus, another thing I keep a fan of bringing up, I don't know if we ever did, the fact that Mandarin has a tattoo of Captain America's shield on the back of his neck.
Really?
Yeah. Like one of the shots, he has like instead of a star, it's an A.
Really?
Yeah, it's weird.
That's really interesting.
I wonder if he's a super soldier.
That may be the case as well.
And also, this week they had a bunch of shots from Winter Soldier, the new
Right?
movie,
Yeah.
and new costume, which is pretty cool looking. It's like the super soldier with the stripes.
Yeah, I dig it. Like I liked the first I liked the Captain America movie, but like that armor just like doesn't sit well with me for some reason.
The new one?
No, the first one. The first
the very first Captain America.
Yeah,
it was alright. Yeah. It's improved.
And we also have Iron Man: Rise of the Technovore, the cartoon.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been avoiding this like the plague because it sounds awful.
It does, and it's I think it's supposed to. Isn't it supposed to be like a tie-in?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's like a weird prequel that they're doing.
Yeah, which is also
Technovore.
like kind of strange. Which I mean, like this is going to be the segue to our conversation about continuity, where you read Rise of Ultron, Age of Ultron #6, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that book came out this week.
Sure did.
It's a pretty good. I like that they're not making it a mega event.
No, it's very self-contained.
It's self-contained, and you're not getting the extra crossovers like Frontline, Age of Ultron, Age of Ultron, Who's Your Dad? Age of Ultron, I've never met him. Like you're never getting like any of that stuff.
You're getting like these weird supplemental, issues of like AUs.
Yeah, like Age of Ultron, I slept with a babysitter 1 through 4. Age of Ultron, regret. Like you don't get like any of those. So you're getting like one-off issues within the continuity,
which are fun,
and you're getting the 10-issue series also, which is pretty good. And
it's out every week.
Yeah, it's 3 times a month. You're pretty much getting it every week. This issue is Wolverine going back in time, not with the other guys who went to the future. They went to, like Captain America, Iron Man,
Red Hulk,
a scarred up Scarlet Witch,
Yeah.
Black
Widow.
I'm sorry, Scarlet Black Widow. Scarlet Witch. Hawkeye Storm.
Cap.
Yeah, Cap. And you're getting these
Nick
guys
Fury.
sent into the future with Nick Fury. And Wolverine is like stuck in the present, having to kind of like watch the house.
Didn't even wait a second.
He didn't. He was like, and like Cap's like, you got to stay here, soldier. And he's like, man, rumble. And then as soon as Cap like blips out, he's like, I don't know which one of you is sending me back there, but you freaking better send me back there.
I wear a hood now.
Because they always do the last, the last shot of Wolverine in any comic when he has something dramatic
Such
to
a
say
dick.
is this, like with the claws out
Every
like,
5 minutes. Like, put him away, dude.
I'm gonna slice it up, and they're like, all right, dude.
Picture him doing that, like doing these deliveries with like the claws out and like just getting on, like, you know, crouching down with the two claws, like, old school 80s, like Frank Miller Wolverine.
Oh my God.
And with Kenny Powers' voice.
I like this move. I always thought that
run my own school.
when I was a kid and I would try to draw comics, Wolverine was always in that, and like he was either doing this
This is the best.
or he was
This is
doing
the
like
absolute
this.
best.
Oh,
You can't beat the double forearms.
no point, like the most pointless pose in all of comics. You know?
Or like him on a roof.
Yeah, him on a roof. Like,
Did you draw him with the mask or without the mask?
I was drawn with the mask,
The mask
but
is
he
awesome.
would just be like,
Yo,
The brown one or the
brown
blue
costume
and
Wolverine is the coolest mask. He was Batman
Yeah.
with longer ears.
yeah. I like the brown costume.
and he never matched the rest of them.
No,
Bro,
come on.
pretty good. Martin Lawrence is Wolverine. Wolverine Origins 3.
I can't do a good Martin Lawrence.
I think everybody can.
I don't think he can do a good Martin
Believe
Lawrence.
that.
Believe it.
It's gold.
Bub.
So Wolverine doesn't, like you said, doesn't wait a second. He's like, so he's got to send me back in time. I got to kill Hank Pym. And they're like, oh, jeez, push the button.
Push the button.
Push the button. They sent him back. Sue Storm turned invisible, went back in time with him. And like,
Of all people.
And he also couldn't, like, during the time thing, he wasn't oh, what smells funny, you know? But, you know, they land in the past.
He's too hyped up. He's too pumped.
They land in the past as Nick Fury goes into a nameless cave.
Leaves his car out on a beach.
And he's like, this is the freebie, bub. And get in the car, go to see Hank Pym, who's working on Dragon Man.
Talking to himself, contemplating how jealous he is of Tony Stark.
I think he was recording himself,
I hope so.
like talk about like his scientific thing.
Oh, it's 2 pages of him talking.
Here's a weird thing. I don't know if you picked up on this, but when was the last time the Pan Am building was the Pan Am building?
Long time ago.
Yeah, you're talking pre.
I want to say
9/11.
like 90 in the 90s.
Now it's the
right?
MetLife building, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pan Am probably like 92, 93.
Well, they went out of business in like 94.
Can we look that up?
95?
Because that throws so
Yeah,
much off.
I'll tell you right now.
Well,
the
you-
Pan Am
you
building.
don't
Here we
like
go.
time.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Built 1963.
Mhm.
It was the Pan Am building till
Right now.
no 1991. Pan Am dwindled to 4 floors. So by 91, it was only 4 of the floors. During
They
the
still
year,
have
Pan Am moved to headquarters to Miami. Shortly afterwards, the airline ceased to operate. So
Okay.
like 92, 93.
when they took the letters off.
in 1993.
Okay. So they basically traveled back to 1993, which is 20 years ago.
I'm sorry. September 3rd, 1992.
Okay, now they traveled 20 years into the past from like 2013. So you're telling me that Hank Pym is working on Dragon Man 20 years ago, but this is like a weird continuity thing with me, or like
Can't do this.
so Cap's been there for 20 years.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
I know.
I think it was a cool thing.
And it's also weirdly he's wearing Yellow Jacket.
Yeah.
Here too, right? I think it was Yellow.
Yeah.
I think Yellow Jacket.
Like I said, Marvel continuity has always been 10 years.
Yeah,
You know.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always like 10 years. Like Peter Parker's like 30.
But it
Yeah.
really does depend on who's writing it.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's something that is really elastic, where it'll
Yeah.
give you a headache if you think too hard about
Yeah.
it.
I think they just wanted to throw the Pan Am building in there.
Oh yeah,
like
no,
a
it's
touch
cool.
thing. It looks cool.
I liked it.
But they so they go and like they find Hank Pym. He's working on Dragon Man, and then Wolverine is like, "I'm gonna do it, bro." And he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "I'm from the future." So like and eloquently like, "From where I come from, you did a lot of bad stuff." Like he could have like I feel like Wolverine should have been like, "I'm gonna write this down first,
Nope.
and then like give it to him."
Nope.
Then Sue Storm shows up and he's like, "Sue, stop her!" And then Wolverine. The last panel you see is Wolverine killing Hank Pym.
Slicing his throat. It was funny. It was. I love the argument Sue Storm has. Like, I don't know if we should really do it. Because the whole time she's riding out, she's like, we got to, you got to do this. And she's like, I don't know if we should do this. And then the next panel is like slicing his throat. It's like, okay,
I did it.
No problem.
Your kids are okay.
Yeah, your kid's not gonna be okay.
So in that like one fell swoop, I like as soon as I read it, I was like, okay, it makes sense in my brain. It makes sense in movie continuity because
there's no Pym.
There's no Pym in the movies.
Yeah, but there is gonna be a Pym.
Okay,
you're getting Ant-Man.
Are you gonna get Scott? I think you're gonna get Scott Lang.
Two. He's gonna have Pym and Scott Lang.
Yeah. Or probably, I would think we'd get the other guy, Eric.
I mean, that'd be cool too
because it ties in with the whole Shield thing.
Oh yeah,
but the Pym is such a central part of the Avengers franchise, and then he gets murdered. What I think maybe one of the reveals is that Dragon Man was already sentient, and Dragon Man becomes Ultron.
That'd be crazy.
Underneath Dragon Man's dragon skull, it looks like Ultron.
Crazy? Did you read Wolverine the X-Men?
I didn't.
So that shows you it's like a prequel to this, where it shows you the exact moment when they're going to grab Dragon Man. They go to Diablo's cave, and they take Dragon Man because Dragon Man worked with everyone at that time.
Yeah.
I don't know if Dragon Man's gonna play into it like that big, but they did give him a little profile balloon in the back of the comic.
Yeah. Okay.
Age of Ultron is comprised of Dragon Man.
All right. So
who knows?
They could go wacky with that. One other bit.
I want my nanny bot that Ultron eventually was built from.
Yeah.
That weird, yeah, Robbie the robot thing, I'm gonna fix you, Vision.
I like the panel also that I should have gotten a still of it where they're like, oh, he found us, we're in the air, the Avengers are floating around, and it's just Ultron's heads flying at them, shooting laser beams at them.
And Iron Man getting a boner during the whole time.
And Cap's head exploding off his shoulders.
Yeah,
which is pretty. They showed the panel in silhouette, but it's pretty nuts. Wolverine kind of screwed everything up a little bit.
Yeah.
But Marvel builds on existing continuity.
It sure do.
They do. They do a great job of building on throughout their entire line of books. They have a solid continuity. And
they build off of it. That's the best thing is that they use it to benefit the storylines they're using now.
It's built off of, and it's used extremely well.
And nothing is off, is off the table. You have Remender going on this mission of making everything that came from the 90s cool.
Yeah, yeah.
The stuff that's kind of regarded as the dark age of creativity. He still, has the great idea that Marvel has had for years. There's no really bad storyline. You can just matter of time to work on it.
Which is also a nice way to retcon stuff properly.
Yeah.
And kind of say oh, this was this, instead of saying nope, this didn't happen. The one thing that I feel like it's unwritten. Two things that I feel like are unwritten at this point. One, the other from Spider-Man.
Yeah, but they still do that one.
Didn't really happen.
But he still has that.
Does he?
Yeah, well, Scarlet Spider's got it now.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And once they're gonna pull out Ezekiel every anniversary or whatever.
And yeah, true. For some weird reason. And
old man with no shoes on. Great storyline.
The Mephisto stuff.
Yeah.
The One More Day stuff I feel got kind of shuffled to the side.
It did.
Because now
they took care of it so matter of factly.
People kind of know who he is now.
Yeah.
For the most part. It's kind of gotten back to the old Spidey status quo, but there's not an emphasis on if anybody finds out, Aunt May's gonna die of a bullet wound or a gut.
They took away the circumstances where it's the world is over once Spidey gets unmasked.
That should be the end of Age of Ultron.
I like the original thing when they were still messing with that where you couldn't take his mask off, or the angle keeps on changing. When I think what's his name, Giant Stone was trying to rip it off of him, and the perspective would constantly switch over, or get another Spider-Man mask.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Underneath the 10 Spidey-Man mask.
Whoa!
His head's so big. It's layers of Spidey masks. But Marvel does such a great job of using their continuity well, and to propel, to get new readers, and to also, it makes new readers want to dig up old stories.
Yeah.
Which is great,
Why would you deny your past?
It's a good business model to say hey, listen, if you want to know more, check out these trades. Marvel pumps out trades left and right. You can go to a comic store now and for the most part buy every single thing that Marvel has ever put out since the
digitally.
60s. Yeah, or digitally, and just download every single thing and read it, in one day.
And there's, while there's some dark times, do you really want to go back in the Clone Saga? Maybe.
No.
Some people do. Some people want to revisit that, and some people think they can create a great story out of it. But why would you deny your past? Why would you create that weird stopgap where, we're not going to deal with, say 1960 and 1975?
Which brings us to the next point. Like your bit of news, which was
my bit of news.
It was interesting. Like a really interesting thing that kind of spurred this conversation.
Well, the whole thing is that we always kind of I'm tired of apologizing for bashing DC, but they deserve it. So DC, they're weird when it comes to their publicity. It's weird about the way that they market their own stuff internally and externally because it's really non-existent. Yeah. It's just like solicits and then that's it. You show up and you pick up the books. But for the last, I don't know, since Quesada's reign, you've had on Fridays a fixture on CBR, a really in-depth review, interview with whoever's the editor-in-chief. Now it's Axel Alonso. That gives you kind of like a State of the Union, answers fan questions, integrates them, wouldn't shy away from certain controversial questions, and then promote stuff coming down the line. And you get, some like, Age of Ultron's coming this summer, and then there's Infinity coming after that. So you have all that. So the DC decided to finally let's open our mouths and have Bobby Chase and Bob Harris, the two iron gauntleted jackboots that are now running DC.
That's your words, dude.
Yes. So they're running. That's Bob Harris. Bob Harris. You love jackboots, right?
I do, because
jackbooted swine.
There's only one picture that puts when you hear that word, you think of one thing.
Ponies.
Yeah.
Right, jackboots. I personally think of Judge Dredd for some reason.
Okay.
Like shooting stick. Jackboots. So
red face.
So Bobby Harris is the toadstool, the toad to Bob Harris is Magneto, and Bob Harris has not been a favorite among fans because he does not want to address the fans for the most part. So they very begrudgingly did the CBR column, which shows up sometime during the course of the week.
Comic resources. So I read all of these things because I'm fascinated by these type of things. Yeah,
I try to read between the lines, and they're the most they're totally screening the questions, which is their right. They're a big company, but they're answering all right. Do you think we'll ever see Wally West? Well, wait and see.
Ugh.
Every answer was a wait and see. Why you bother doing a promotion for your company if it's going to do wait and see thing?
Why bother talking to anybody if it's wait and see?
It's awful. And they really do it in a really kind of talking down to the fans for the most part. Why would you worry about that? And
because I like Wally. Your company's based on fictional characters, and that's the one I like.
Yeah. So I think the last one I remember reading was they completely lied about the Gail Simone thing. Where they asked about, what was the deal with basically, there was a huge outcry when you fired Gail Simone on Batgirl, and then she was rehired almost immediately. And their answer was oh no, we were basically having a 2-issue fill-in by whoever, and then we're gonna bring her back. And it's no, she went on the record on social media and said I have been fired from this book. Hear me crying.
Doesn't exist.
So this week's issue,
What a woman.
They answered, what a woman. They basically, so they buried that story, and so this week they answered a bunch of more BS whatever PR questions, and I'm reading along, and at the last paragraph, CBR jumps in and says, because Jerry Ordway's been coming out often saying how come I can't get work nowadays? Did you know the dude's 45 years old?
I had no idea.
I thought he was 100 years old.
Yeah.
He's 45 or 55 years old. Borderline a young man who can still do it. But all right, I understand the dude, his art style probably won't benefit a book on a monthly basis.
I think it would.
I think you can find a place for him. And I think most places you probably find in Marvel or Image.
Yeah.
So he's basically saying how come a guy who's not, in a hospital can't get work now? And so they asked that question, one of the fans asked that question to DC, and they basically shut it down. CBR basically tells the audience that they will no longer be carrying this information on CBR. DC has declined the comment. No more. So they basically, my assessment of calling them jackboot tyrants is pretty much in line with their behavior.
No more questions.
Yeah, no. They could have said no comment, but decide because a creator out there asked this question. they decided to pull back any information whatsoever, and now they have no integration with the fandom anymore.
Wow. Jerry Ordway, 55.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I honestly like
Old man.
I thought he was an old man.
Yeah.
You know, like a really like a
This dude replaced Kurt Swan.
Mhm.
This is a Superman artist.
He was one of our Superman artists. You know, he was
Yeah.
like when we grew up, you had your certain
Green Lantern.
you know, yeah, you had your certain group of artists that you remember when you were a kid. You had Dan Jurgens,
Yep.
you had Jerry Ordway,
Yep.
and you had Jim Aparo.
Yep.
Because Jim Aparo, I love Jim
Amazing.
Aparo's
I
Batman.
love Jim Barrow. I think he is my favorite Batman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I always like when I was a kid, I used to love Norm Brayfogle,
I know you do.
who just like dropped like
He's
how
out
did
of
that
here.
happen? Maybe he was 100 years old. But you know, as a fan, I'm shocked. I'm like, I didn't know this guy was 55.
I just-
'Cause you hear the name and you're like,
Jerry
he's
Ordway.
90.
Yeah, he
you
has
know.
that legacy behind him.
Jerry
He's-
Ordway, Joe Shuster.
He's probably got like 3 children that are like cranking out comics before we know it.
Yeah.
But it was, like, all right, so you have that part where they basically are not addressing
Mhm.
a legend,
Right.
a borderline young legend.
Norm Brayfogle, 53.
Oh boy. So, what was he doing in his early
These
career?
guys are like 19 when they were on Batman.
Seriously. So, we were talking about this before, and it's kind of a disgusting, way to address your fans and everything. And so, I mean, this always makes me look at the bigger picture in terms of like DC and like what they're doing. And, they've done these reboots and everything like that. And they've cut off the past, but they've also addressed the past to some degree. My happy medium was finally when Jeff Johns really had a handle on most of the DC properties, and he made everything work.
Yeah.
He made the Silver Age, the Golden Age, and everything seamlessly work with the Modern Age.
Yeah.
Now we have this with Bob Harris, for whatever reason, thinking that Wildstorm was the best thing since sliced bread, and interjecting into the DC universe and ignoring the past. We're in a time where the first superheroes that we have in DC are Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. They've been around for 5 years. There's no JSA, which is something that still drives me nuts.
Yeah.
No Wally West.
And they're reintroducing Reverse Flash as a separate character.
It's a separate character.
Yeah.
So why would you do that? See, they keep it vague. So they are making it up as they go along.
Yeah.
Bob Harris on this last thing, he said like, oh, there was a document that was made up before this. That is kind of like the Bible of what we can do and what we can't do. But we're also going to kind of play with that and see what, our readers want.
But they want something good.
They want good comics about the stuff they've been reading for 100 years now. So, we're at the 75th anniversary of Action Comics.
Right.
A massive convoluted history of Superman. Why would you deny, since you're being vague as it is about what exists and what's not, just easily open up the floodgates and start interjecting those old storylines back in.
Yeah.
The worst thing they could have done, they could have gotten around this very easy if they didn't do the 5-year thing.
Yeah.
If they kept it vague and said, oh, some years ago, it would have caused much less confusion, because then you can say, all right,
This still happened.
Batman died.
Yeah.
And, an Infinite Crisis. You can still play with those things. Alexander Luthor was a reality in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else? Any of the cool stuff.
Everything.
Teen
Everything.
Titans. Like
Teen Titans, the retcon of Teen, this is like, I know they're selling so many books, and it actually has, like, from my interactions online, you getting a strong readership of people who haven't read comics and they're reading these books. But I feel like, like how Marvel knocks it out of the park with continuity, DC is not really, you're not reading something and going like, oh, like when was the first time this guy showed up?
Yeah.
It was Justice League `1 that came out a year ago,
Well, that was like when we read when they started putting out those profiles in the back of DC, where like, Damian Wayne's first appearance, Batman Robin #1.
Right.
Which is like,
it makes no sense.
it's a lie.
Yeah.
It's a straight up lie, because even when Crisis happened and you had a Who's Who come out, you had, first appearance, modern day so-and-so issue. And then you had like Action Comics #1, 1980. And then you'd have like pre-crisis this.
Right.
So you'd still have an acknowledgement, but the way that they're treating it with the past is we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist. Just, there's the rumors that they start pulping like old DC volumes. You're pulping, 50 years of continuity.
which is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's also like I hate bitching and moaning about DC, but it's true. I mean, it's something.
too late
like,
for this.
It's something to complain about.
It's 2 years in now.
I think you can. I think it's there's so many easy creative fixes to do it, but again, like creative doesn't seem like the guys who are really creative and can really like make it like hit home runs with these books. I feel like they're not living up to their full potential.
No, well,
as far as using their creativity within that company.
Jeff Lemire is the great story.
Uh-huh.
This dude, came from Independence, went to DC, knocked that out of the park, and now he's a mainstream writer.
Yeah.
Who you'd never. This guy was writing about hockey ghosts.
Yeah.
2 years ago. But you got he really was Bob Harris. He brought his buddies on, bringing hit. Like Scott Lobdell. Like, is there a strong the dude's on 2 Superman books?
Yeah.
Scott Lobdell, who people who read X-Men in the 90s don't even like Scott Lobdell.
Yeah. Yeah.
They identify with Jim Lee more than anything. There's not a place for this type of creativity. You have, and now we're just starting to see Robert Venditti and Falkov and all these dudes who are like more of the independent line coming in, but they're getting put on books that no one wants to read.
Right.
And there's no, if you don't have a strong grasp of the past and where these characters came from, and you're just making up as you go along, you're gonna get a very intangible comic book,
right?
And a very intangible character. You're not gonna have anything like Jeff Lemire's Green Arrow. He came on. You've had 2 to 3 failed writers on that book.
Yeah,
you have a hit TV show on air. You're trying to match up as clearly as possible, but he did the right thing. He basically stripped away everything.
Yeah,
burnt the ground down and made him a little bit more Ollie that we're used to.
Right, and he made him on the run too. Like he's getting hunted by Komodo.
Yeah.
At this point, which is it's a really cool story, And I was like, I read the first issue of Green Arrow and was like, I'm not picking this book up anymore.
Yep.
And until Lemire came on, I was like, you know what, this is good. This is good stuff. I think also you have to crank out good books because honestly, we wouldn't be sitting here complaining if the books were actually good.
Yep.
If we were able to pull apart the books and say oh man, you know what they did in this book, it's really kind of cool how they used an old idea and they made such a solid story. You're not getting solid stories. You're getting convoluted characters that are supposedly being introduced right off the bat.
Yeah.
That are just drawings on a page for the most part.
Or if they came out the gate and they were arguing all right, new blood. We're doing a new storyline.
Right.
This is from scratch, and sold the great idea to me.
Right.
Which are not. They're kind of meandering this middle of the road stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching a lot of the old school Justice League cartoons.
Yeah.
And they're awesome.
Yeah.
You had arguably cartoon Superman is the greatest Superman I've ever witnessed. The dude was he was perfect. The dude would punch things. He would kind of be abrasive at times. In the Justice League Unlimited stuff, he was abrasive because Shazam was coming on and Bruce Wayne was calling him the Boy Scout instead of Superman.
Yeah.
And it was good dynamics. And then you build in with Unlimited and have all these Vigilante and Shining Knight and
Booster Gold,
secondary characters.
Fire Knight, I think, showed up too.
Yeah. Red. What's his name?
Rocket Red.
Yeah. Rocket Red. Red Rocket or Rocket Red?
I don't remember.
Whatever. So they have all these side
the
characters.
Russian guy.
The great continuity.
Yeah.
You introduce a bunch of villains. You had an incredible story for at least an hour to a half an hour, and it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was you're telling reworkings of old stories for the most part, with a lot of ingenuity. The end of the JLA cartoon, the first JLA Justice League Unlimited storyline is the Question going up against Lex Luthor running for president, and it turns out that Lex Luthor is combined with Brainiac.
Right.
Awesome storyline.
Yeah.
And that's not breaking the mold or anything like that. It's just really cool.
It's just a good story. Yeah.
So I don't understand how you can look at this vast web of ideas through your past and through whatever functions that they've been interpreted in, whether it be superpowers cartoons, to Justice League Unlimited cartoons, the Batman cartoon, to old school Silver Age, to old school Golden Age, and say, no. What we need to do is put Team 7 back on the shelf. We need to start from absolute scratch and deny the past.
Here's my theory on that. And this is a good theory because there's no way around this. If this is the truth, it makes it completely understandable. There's a dude somehow behind the scenes who's our age who became a millionaire, right? But didn't adapt his his comic book liking to modern era, stuck in the 90s. And he's sitting somewhere in an office with a floppy sandwich in one hand and like a double big gulp in the other with his millions of dollars saying like
Stormwatch.
Wildcats, Stormwatch, Team 7. Hire the guys from the 90s. Get Bob Harris, get Scott Lobdell, man. These guys were rocking and rolling.
And isn't it a little weird they don't have a Wildcats book out yet?
It is a little weird. Yeah.
Through all this and like I Mr. Majestic book and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the DC Majestic book was pretty good.
It was good
when it came out years and years ago. When you mentioned Bob Harris before, the one thing I think of is when is that weird book he put out, Fusion.
Oh,
it was supposed to be like a different Captain Adam.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But it's just so like it boggles the mind because they're doing nothing right.
Yeah.
There's like you have your Batmans, you have your Green Lanterns. Green Lantern's gonna go through some massive changes. So they'll basically be holding on to Batman.
Yeah.
And then the Scott Snyder Superman Unleashed Jim Lee book that's coming out. That's probably gonna be a very big hit. But
yeah.
It's always arguable when he does a book.
Yeah.
But I want them to just come out and say we made a big mistake.
We're starting over. It's 0 Hour again.
Like Wally West.
0 Hour, great relaunch point. And also after Infinite Crisis, they not like it was 52, amazing.
All their stuff, all their events were fun as hell.
Yeah,
really interesting.
Infinite Crisis, I really dug because that's the thing about DC is like I remember when we got that issue where like everybody's plugged into like that big column. Did the fun part of trying to name every single person on there, and you get that stuff kind of sticks with you. Like, oh, this is so and so. This is a Black Condor. This is. This fun. Guy,
or even like the original 52, where you get like what was that guy with the buffalo head?
Oh my God, yeah,
not Super Chief, whatever. Anyway,
Manitou Raven,
Black Bison.
Yeah.
Like you had like a bunch of like weirdo characters that you just kind of like build on. Like DC was the king of utilizing those old characters, and utilizing their history because it was so vast. You went through so many iterations, so many changes,
and it made you want to pick up their weird first appearance.
Oh yeah, like Crisis, Identity Crisis made me want to like dig through Silver Age because it was directly addressing books you've read in the past with new interpretations of it.
Yeah, which is great. Which is what like how it should be handled.
That's the way that John has always worked.
Yeah. We don't know what the future holds.
No, I hope better things.
Yeah. My brother wants to know what's up with Jamie Foxx Electro.
Yeah, she looks like Frankenstein.
He does.
Amazing.
One dude on our Facebook page put he was like, why would you hire a black guy and then paint him white?
That's Tom McSpace.
Yeah.
Like him.
Who is that dude?
What was he's a friend of Lunatic Radio.
Okay.
He's like this with us now. What was your book of the week?
Seeing as how I only read one. Actually, Daredevil. I read Daredevil.
That was my book of the week.
Daredevil was great. Yeah.
Daredevil. That was one of the coolest looking villains in a long time.
It was because it looked like the old school Daredevil. And he had a crazy ninja mask. Do you think there's going to be a reveal as to who it is?
Yeah. You know what? I have a weird theory about him. His name is Akari,
right?
Which means Fury.
You think it's going to be Fury's kid?
No.
Okay.
The symbol on his chest doesn't say Akari.
What's it say?
It's moon.
Really? Okay.
Who do you think that is?
Moon Knight? No. They're going to make him like after the weird West Coast adventure. He's going to be Moon Knight.
Moon Knight.
I think that's a cool way to go, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be an old.
And you had a crazy power set to him and make him like an anti Daredevil.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great reveal with him saying like he's not blind.
Yeah. Bullseye.
Well, Bullseye's showing up in the storyline regardless.
Okay.
There's no doubt in my mind.
I was like, it's gonna be Elektra. Yeah, but it was cool. Like it was a cool fight. It was a cool reveal where it's like the next issue is called Man with Fear.
Yeah,
because now like it's like this guy's just like me except he can see. I'm screwed.
And the fact he's got blades. And he's a full blown ninja.
Oh man, so there's a lot of speculation.
Rockin' book. Well, it's still consistently one of the best books out there.
Last question from Coach Dallas: could Mysterio be a good movie villain?
Yes,
absolutely.
Without doubt in my mind. But he needs to. He can't carry a movie by himself. He needs to have like, some type of Sinister Six with him.
Rhino.
Yeah, stick Paul Giamatti, Jamie Foxx, and William H. Macy as Mysterio.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good Mysterio.
Yeah. Creep.
Yeah.
I just named everyone that that Bobby really hates.
Really?
Hates Giamatti. Hates William H. Macy.
He hates good actors.
Yes.
All right, everybody. This has been another awesome episode. John Rock and Roll Adler and Rich Tambolian. We'll be back next week on another awesome episode of Behind the Counter. Everybody take it easy.